it's Tonya with Scribbles in Time. I am wanting to show you all today a flip through of my latest book that I've just completed. And if you watched my previous video, then you probably were not expecting this, because in my previous video I talked about how I was almost done with a book where I was making a kind of a composition of all of my favorite things that I've received from other artists. And I have not completed that book yet, and it's because I was one of the lucky few that was able to get some of Gibbet's, I guess, accessories, or a kit that she had done a video on. So I'm waiting for that to come in so I can incorporate that into my favorite artists out there that I've gotten stuff from. So anyway, with that being said, I have not completed that book, and I don't normally like to start another book when I haven't finished the first one or the last one. So I was just going to kind of sit down and watch some videos and kind of get some inspiration. And as I did that, I fell through, I think y'all call it the rabbit hole. So I went from one place to the other, and somehow I stumbled across an artist. I wrote her name down. It's Nellie Wortman. And her Etsy is Nellie's Creative Touch. And there was a picture of her book that she had made. And she does a class on, making the books that she does. So I've signed up for a previous class from another artist out there, and I've never taken it. I don't know that I'm cut out to take classes. I'm not cut out to sit and watch. And anyway, but I signed up for hers, and I did struggle taking a class, but I struggled through it because I loved her books so much. And I did my very best to, recreate her book. And as you know, it's very hard to, I guess, recreate someone else's work, because as you start, your own personality starts to just mesh in with it. So this is my rendition of her work. Again, it's Nellie's Creative Touch on Etsy, and you can find her classes on there. So I'm not going to say anything about the making of the book, because that's hers. And I give her total credit for that. And anyway, I just wanted to show it to you and hopefully give you inspiration, but I also wanted to kind of tell the story about it a little bit, because this book has helped me in so many ways. When I came across hers, what really snagged me in was she has a book with a tree on the front, and I absolutely love the symbolism of the tree. I love, well, if you watched my previous videos, y'all know I love everything. I love everything. I have issues, but anyway, I do love the symbolism of the tree. In fact, my cousin, he used to do chainsaw art, and he did this big wooden carving of a tree. I think his is to symbolize the tree of life. But it's just, to me, the tree has just such beautiful symbolisms in every way. I love the whole analogy of, how deep do your roots go, and, growing your faith and all of that. I just love the symbolism of the tree. So that's what snagged me in when I saw Nellie's book, was the tree that was on the front of her. So I knew when I was going to recreate it through her class, when I was going to try to recreate her book, I already knew that I wanted to try to use a tree on the front. But I used to sketch a long time ago, and I always thought that when I got older I would get really good, because my issues that I always had was I could only sketch by looking at pictures. And I wanted to be one of those types of artists that just, sketch by my imagination, or merge different pictures together and create pictures. But I always was just able to, sketch based off of pictures. And my stepmother, she is the most amazing artist, and she can just come up with things in her head and create it. Anyway, I always thought that when I got old, I would be able to do that, and then I quit practicing. So, you have kids and you have family and you get busy, and I quit practicing. So I wanted to do a tree for the front of my book, but I had not sketched in years and years. So I pulled out all of my old sketch pads, which I had already, I'm trying to get to my my book of my favorite things that I had started. I had already found an old sketch I had done, but again, I did this back in my 20s, and I did it by looking at a piece of artwork that I don't know the artist's name, but I did it, you know, by doing my rendition of a piece of art that someone else had done. But anyway, I pulled out my old sketchbook. I have a bunch of sketches in it from when I was young, and I'm going to probably start pulling a lot of those out and using them, but they're renditions of other artists, so I feel like in so many ways I can't take credit for them. But anyway, get back to my story here. So yeah, when I saw her tree, I knew I wanted to go with the tree. I knew I wanted a kind of a fall winter looking tree because I love the concept of you know, the tree as it dies down in the fall and then it regrows its new growth in the spring. And anyway, so I came across an artist rendition of a tree with a path leading to it. And so I just kind of did a little spin off of that, because if you've watched previous videos, you know that my dad retired from the railroad. So I grew up, you know, a railroad man's daughter. And so I wanted to do with this being to symbolize the family tree, I wanted to kind of incorporate something from my family into it. But that's kind of the rendition I did of the tree. So it does have, if you can't tell, that's railroad tracks. Nellie, again, Nellie Wortman, Nellie's Creative Touch on Etsy. Her book, she does some type of plates, and she said she has tutorials for those. Now, I have not looked at those up, but she does some type of metal plate on the front of hers with whatever her title of her book is, and I can't remember. But my book, I wanted to name Legacy. I love the whole concept of legacies and that kind of thing, and I love, you know, the legacies that our past families have left for us and things like that. So I wanted to name this one Legacy. So my intention had been, this was an old piece of metal. I can't remember now if me or my son found this. For some reason, I'm thinking my son did, but it's this old piece of metal, and it's rusted and it's so chunky and cool. So I knew I wanted to use this on the front. And the other piece of metal that was found with this, to me, looks almost like a bent railroad tie. So for some reason in my mind, I incorporate this to be railroadish, but it's not. I don't know what it is. But anyway, so I put this on here, and I have this stuff that it's like a gel that you put on top of something, and it makes it look like it has glass over it. So my intention had been to put Legacy on here and cover it with the glass gel. I don't know if I'm going to do that now. I kind of like the look of this, the rawness of it. Y'all know how I am with that. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to add the word legacy to it, but might, don't know. I knew that I wanted this to be an art book. So when Nellie started to do her tutorial and she was using art paper in hers, I knew I wanted to do that versus the journaling tea-dyed paper, because I knew I wanted to do artwork again. I knew I wanted to start sketching and drawing and that kind of thing. So that's what's going to be inside of this. This is the front. Again, I can't go into too much about the making of the book, because, you know, you would have to look at her course for that. But I did hang some beads here that I love, these earthy looking beads. And I really had to overcome my issues of breaking down old books. I think there's 5 different book covers in this. It's just, you can see the different layers of book covers here. And on the spine, even, you can see I've gone through and used all different kinds of spines. I think there's a total of 4 spines here, all meshed together as one. And again, she talks about that in her tutorial. There's the back of the book and the front. And then when you open it up, here is, again, I strayed off of what she did. I just incorporated my own personality into this. So I kind of did this little book here. Because I knew I did want some journaling space. I couldn't get too far out of my comfort zone because I had to have some coffee dyed paper in here. a lot of old vintage fabric, crocheted doilies and lace and handkerchiefs. This was an old hymnal. Oh, this is funny, you guys. My son just bought me this. It's a whoopee cushion. And he said, Mom, I thought you had to have this. It looks so old and vintage. And I thought that was priceless. You have to look at the name there. And I loved it. And the funny thing was, I haven't opened it yet. But the funny thing was, he says, but I want the whoopee cushion out of it. You can just have the packaging. I haven't taken it out yet, but anyway, he just gave that to me yesterday, so I slid it into this little front pocket that's made with this, I don't know what that is, but it's pretty crocheting across the top. To me, it almost looked like maybe an old pillowcase. I don't know what it is. Don't even remember where I got it. Sorry, I'm bumping the camera. So anyway, over here on this page, just different layering of items. This is a leaf from my yard, and I did the poem October's Party. I was born in October, and it says October gave a party, the leaves by hundreds came. And again, it's talking about the fall and how the leaves fall and the wind and all of that. So it's a really cool poem. It's by George Cooper. I won't read it. I need to shut up and move forward. But this had the page out of, I think it was out of this book. Where somebody had written their name and the date, and it was 1896. So I just had to incorporate that page. So I wrote the poem on the other side and the leaf from my yard and used that. And then over here, I used a piece of a tree limb that had fallen in a storm the other night. And I held on to this because my intentions had been to attach that right there. And then I didn't, but I wanted to use it somewhere. So I used it there. And here's, I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but I tend to, when I get caught up in working on a book, I tend to time just flies by on me. I'll start working, and then the next thing I know, it's, 3 hours later. So I fall behind on a lot of stuff around my house, cooking supper, cleaning, all of the basic things I need to be doing, I fall behind on. And I don't know why my husband's so understanding about it, but he is. But one of the things that he and I have started doing since our Jerusalem trip is, and I'm not going to sit here and, try to push my faith or anything like that on you all, but I just want y'all to know this little story. But since we returned from our trip, my husband, he had already been reading the Bible since his father had passed away, and he had already read the Bible. And when we came back, we started doing this Bible study together, and it's on our phone. It's an app, and we take turns. We alternate picking out the Bible studies. They're usually like little 10-day things, and you just read, each day. So anyway, I fell behind on that, working on my books. So I was like 3 days behind, and my husband had picked out the last one, and he had not asked me if I had been reading it or anything like that. But so this morning, before I started filming this video, I said, that's not right. I need to not put other things first. So I stopped to start on the Bible study that he had shared with me. And it was just so, I don't know. Anyway, it was just neat. The name of the Bible study is Grow, Becoming More Like Jesus. And the very first one, which I was 3 days late reading, I read this morning right before starting this video, and it was called Growing Roots. And it quoted Paul in the scripture where he writes, let your roots grow down into him, and let your lives be built on him. Then your faith will grow strong in the truth that you were taught. And Paul, can't read my writing. So anyway, it just was, to me, it was just so meaningful that I started the scriptures today, and it just, I don't know, for some reason that mattered to me. This is a page out of a book that I thought was just kind of ironic, because I feel like I try to do this book around the fall and, October, and my birthday's in October, but this is out of a book called In Spring Shall Come. And so I just wanted to use a page out of it. And I did leave a lot of, I've just sewed these pages because I do want to come back and paint. And I've been trying to watch a few videos on watercoloring and water painting and pastels. I used to do a lot of pastel art. I used to oil paint, but I'm going to try my hand at some watercolor. Anyway, so, and here is a picture of my grandmother. Y'all have heard me talk about my grandmother. She's almost 91, and y'all have heard me talk. If you've watched any of my videos, y'all have heard me talking about my grandmother. I try to go and help her pretty much every day. And I just wrote on here, oh, what a legacy, nothing like family. And then, so that's my daddy. How cool. And that's my granddaddy, which he died when I was 6. And then that's my uncle. And so I wrote on here, I just kind of made this up. I just said the family tree, how far the branches reach, how deep the roots grow. Every leaf had a life, every branch a moment. The roots provided substance. The Lord our God, the very foundation that feeds the roots. Well, this morning when I was reading the scriptures, I had already written this the other day, and I was reading the Bible study, and it was called Grow, and it had a picture of a plant. So I just grabbed out my old charcoal pencil and sketched that on there, and it's already getting on my fabric. I'm going to have to spray it and seal it. But anyway, so I just drew that right before I started the video. So that's that. And I did this little fabric here, and I put some crunchy paper in there because I love the sound of crunchy paper. So I did that. And this is some old lace, and I'm going to do a picture back here. I think I want to do lavender back here, some pictures of lavender. And I kind of started planning out what and where I want to do different things. So anyway, this is some more fabric paper, and this is the center here. And this is the only center where I left the beads. All the others I, cut off as she had described in her tutorial. This is an old handkerchief, and I've put some cards in here. And I have a friend, she and I went shopping last week, and we found these tags in an antique store, and we split them, and they're just so beautiful. The handwriting is so pretty. And so I jokingly told her, I said, I'm going to keep all of those. And she said, no, put them in books and share them and, and all this. And I thought, yeah, I need to do that. And then I stuck 2 of them in here. I think I have a total, I think there was 29 of them. And so I think I have like 14. So now I have 12. There's just my paper. This is a little door that opens up, and that's me. That's my baby picture. And I wrote, how the fall would love her, and how she would love the fall. One of her favorite parts of nature would be the feel of the wind blowing through her hair. God's moments just for her to make her smile. She knows she is loved. She is an October baby. And I did that. So my baby picture. And then my friend gave me this tree. And so I stitched it onto the page, and then so that it's the little X's on the back. And it's metal. It's hard to tell without being able to feel of it, but it's metal. It's this thin piece of metal. It's so pretty. Anyway, and then here I just did this little page. And then this is the end of the book. And I love the look of the leather that I've done on previous books. So I wanted to somehow incorporate that in there, but I didn't want to cover, it's hard to do it on the exterior of the book. So I did it on the inside of the back cover. And that might seem weird to some of you that are into this, but I liked it. So anyway, I can't wait to do other renditions of this book. I'm going to do many. I've already planned out. I've already started pulling stuff out to do different ones. I've already pulled out book covers that I'm going to use. I'm really excited about it. You'll definitely be seeing more of these down the road. And I would love any feedback or comments. I hope that I've given everyone the appropriate credit as I should. Okay, everyone, I promised the video's over. I went back and my son was fixing to post it, and I saw that I really talked a lot in it, so I promised it's over. I just wanted to show y'all real quickly. I did go back and add a little bit of green here on the leaves, and I finally have started doing some what I call real art journaling in the book. Remember, I said in the video I was planning on painting some lavender here. I ended up doing wheatgrass. So I just wanted to show real quick as a little add-on to this video that I did my first real art journaling. So yeah, I painted some wheatgrass there. Anyway, I'm going to let y'all go now. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry if the video was too talky and lengthy. Thanks for watching. Y'all be blessed.